So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. I'm very happy and honored to introduce Khenpo Sodargye Rinpoche, who is the head of the Larung Five Sciences Buddhist Academy. And it really is a wonderful opportunity for us to learn from a teacher and such a great teacher from within the Tibetan tradition. Khenpo will be speaking about karma and the law of reincarnation and the law of causality, which are all very deep Buddhist teachings that represent maybe the core of the Buddhist understanding of reality, of human life. I asked him to talk about these themes specifically in order to take the opportunity that such an esteemed traditional teacher could really address the issues that are maybe at the core of the difference between the way we normally understand existence, whatever that means, maybe in the West or here in Israel, and the way it's understood in Asia and specifically in Buddhism. So, as I said, Khenpo Sodargye is the head of the Larung Buddhist Academy, which was founded by a very great teacher called Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, coming from the Nyingma tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. And the academy was founded in 1980. This is a very, very renowned and esteemed Buddhist teacher. And he himself was understood to be a reincarnation of another great teacher his name is Terto Terten Lerap Lingpa. Now, he is famous as being one of the teachers of the 13th Dalai Lama. So, right, the Dalai Lama has been reincarnated so many times, and this specific teacher of the previous Dalai Lama has been reincarnated as Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, who is Khenpo Sodargye Rinpoche's teacher, right? And he is his, as you would say, his spiritual heir, right? He continues his line of teaching. And this is just an example that I thought it tells you, first of all, something about the person who you're about to hear, right? Who is coming out of very great spiritual depths, but also is speaking out of the voice of these teachers who have been around for more than one life, right? And I think this idea tells us also something about the way human existence or human life is understood. And I don't know how much Khenpo will exactly address these issues, but I still thought this would be a very good way to introduce him as a speaker and also to kind of introduce the theme of the talk. So thank you very much for joining us today, Khenpo. And we're very honored and happy to have you here. And go right ahead.
First of all, I would like to sincerely thank Professor Majin and Professor Schulman for their invaluable support. And I would also like to extend my appreciation to the Department of Asian Studies for they graciously invited me. I am grateful for this opportunity to communicate with all of you. This is my first time in Jerusalem, and I'm really excited to be here. It's also my first time in Israel. Ever since I was very young, I have always been interested in Jerusalem. I've always felt curious about it and would like to learn more about it, as there are many well-known religious sites in this place. I've often heard all kinds of stories about this place. Initially, my schedule had already been arranged and included this place, while because of some unexpected news events, some of my friends advised me not to come here and to cancel this trip. But I personally felt that unless any special situations, generally it's best not to change plans if possible. So I came. And after arriving here, I found that it wasn't quite as I had imagined. Today, with a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation, I would like to take this opportunity to give a brief discourse on karma and the cycle of rebirth, reincarnation, which is also about the principles regarding the cycle of life. I can also share some of my experiences and observations, and at the meantime, present some viewpoints for everyone to consider, and then we can discuss on this topic at the end. I might briefly introduce to everyone about some knowledge as well as some of my perspectives related to karma and cause and effect. At the same time, I will also talk about what Professor Sherman just mentioned about His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok's stories at Larung Valley. Later, I have a PowerPoint to present, which I have made preparation. Speaking of karma and cause and effect, I have been to many places and have met many people, and some with faith and some without faith. When it comes to past and present lives and the cycle of rebirth, many people may in fact have already done some research on this particular topic. I believe that karma, cause and effect, past and future lives are not linked to a specific religion. It can be, say, it is not religious, in other words. If they were religious in nature, closely like our religious rituals or different activities among various religions, such as prayers or meditation, which some people can do, but not necessarily for all. It actually requires careful and consistent attention to all living beings, including animals. If it were true life, relying on comprehensive causes and conditions in levels and diversity, such a result is brought about by all conditions being present completely. So humanity must take this cause and effect relationship seriously. When we discuss the concept of karma and the idea of cause and effect in our lives, in fact, according to Buddhism, there are 6 distinct causes, 4 specific conditions, and 5 outcomes that play important roles in the overall process. I know you studied the 4 Noble Truths and the 12 Links of Dependent Origination, as well as some other Theravada Buddhist teachings. But among all these, the most fundamental reason for our human existence, the identity of any individual, is based on extremely complex causes and conditions. It's not that simple. Good and evil must at the least have their rewards, and it's not a simple principle to sum it all up. That's actually not the case. There are extremely complex kinds of causes and conditions. For example, among the 6 causes, there is the similar cause. It means the preceding moments of consciousness continuously give rise to the similar types of mind. There is also what is called the maturing cause. This refers to the good deeds or bad deeds we do having a certain relationship with our behavior and habits. There are other supportive conditions, including internal causes and external conditions. Such causes and conditions exist not only in external phenomena, but more importantly, in the mindset of us and are extremely significantly important to one's mind, to the way we think and feel. So I think that most of the research is conducted today has focused on the material aspect with more attention and observation given to the outside. But many people know themselves and observe their inner karma less. They observe relatively little. You may have a profound understanding after learning the 12 links of dependent origination that causes and conditions are extremely important. On the surface, some people appear attractive while others look plain. Some people wealthy while others poor. It seems as if there isn't much difference in their causes and conditions. But in reality, as long as we acknowledge karma, there must be certain seeds, meaning earlier actions serving as the underlying cause and foundation for all of these to happen. Now, what we refer to as karma becomes extremely clear. For example, a pair of twins have same DNA and receive the same education as well. They have the same parents and the same family background. As they're growing up, the entire school from elementary to university is the same. But after they grow up, their mindsets are quite different. It's possible that one of them may commit suicide while the other becomes extremely successful. if only take the environment into consideration from anthropology, environmental science, or physiology, the difference will be hard to analyze. Only when it comes to the difference in karma, we have to look for causes and conditions from their past. In Buddhism, there is a renowned text called the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra, which says, what is done will not be lost, what is not done cannot be obtained. This means that the karma you have already created will never be exhausted. If you haven't done it, it's simply impossible for it to happen to fall upon you. This is extremely important in the law of cause and effect, and it is unbelievably subtle. Perhaps those of you who study Buddhism already know about the saying, the law of cause and effect never fails. I believe it is not a legend, nor is it simply a rule established by any particular religion. It should apply to every person, every sentient being. In the continuum of life, there exists a kind of causal connection. No matter who holds it, as long as it is operated upon, this kind of consequence will eventually manifest itself. I, personally speaking, have also studied this subject for many years. And at the beginning, I had many doubts about karma and cause and effect. And there were some aspects I didn't fully understand. I went through a large number of books, in particular regarding Buddhism and spiritual science. Later, I truly felt within the depth of our being, that is, in this thread of our consciousness, nowadays many people, including scientists from various fields, have paid little attention to it. Most current scientific research on the mind focuses mainly on research related to the brain and the nervous system, but there is very little research on the intrinsic nature of mind consciousness itself. At present, science is still quite blank in this area. In fact, from the viewpoint of Buddhism, consciousness itself has a unique continuity. At University of Oslo, when communicating with some experts, I said, for psychology that does not involve neurology or brain science, not engaging these in psychology subject, if a Nobel Prize-like award could be established specifically, then the academic world's understanding on the mind and psyche might be quite different from what it has ever been in the past. Of course, research on the mind is rather abstract. Like in our world, dark matter makes up the majority, while conventional matter is extremely rare. Similarly, when we get into research on the subject of psychology, aside from a few, with the exception of religious doctrines, most scientists tend to advocate for material or objective things in their research. As a result, our inner world and many subjective forms of consciousness, as we experience them by this current era, may be understood through some religious research or through some religious faith. That's why I often think about religion and its impact on life. For example, in Judaism, the 10 Commandments are often emphasized. In Buddhism, the 10 precepts are also highly promoted, and many of these are quite similar, such as prohibitions against killing or telling major lies, as well as explicit prohibitions against stealing and so on. Many of the precepts are actually quite similar in nature. They are a code of conduct for human behavior, and on the other hand, these actions, good and evil, may in fact be quite directly and profoundly related to our ultimate destiny. In this regard, perhaps religions see things more thoroughly and clearly. Therefore, the happiness and suffering that we personally experience in this present life, as well as issues concerning each person's own individual identity, religious teachings link our actions in this life, or even to our own actions in our previous lives in the past. On this point, as I mentioned earlier, personally speaking, I have followed Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche for nearly 20 years. In my own contact with him, in another way, through what I saw and heard, one of the most vivid impressions I have is that life itself has continuity. Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok has already passed away. This year marks the 14th year since his parinirvana. He was very renowned, not just in name alone. It should be said that his spiritual attainment and wisdom among the many great masters I have encountered was quite unique. As Professor Thurman mentioned, his previous life was the teacher of the 13th Dalai Lama, the great Tertun Lerab Lingpa. The Tertun tradition in Tibetan Buddhism should be a new concept for you and may require separate study. Tertun practices are indeed very rare, and many scientists in UK, US, researching Tertun practices extremely rare. Many people study on it. This time I went there, many scientists said Terma is unbelievable, and others may find it mysterious. There are many opinions, but regardless, considering the time constraints, in short, he was an extremely exceptional and a renowned Tertun who was widely known throughout Tibet. He was the mentor of the 13th Dalai Lama. The previous lives of Lerab Lingpa have always been like this. During the time of Guru Padmasambhava, he was historically referred to as Dorje Dendul. He was a disciple of Guru Padmasambhava and a master of hidden treasures, always like this. At the beginning, I had many doubts on the proof, but after many years of contact with him, I can briefly share with you. It's truly remarkable. He revealed many important details of Terma treasures that Guru Padmasambhava had hidden previously. At the same time, he could also recall many scenes from that period, including the songs and verses from that time. This concerned the sacred sites Guru Padmasambhava visited, such as Samye and Chimfu in Tibet, and various other places throughout Tibet. It relates to the places he visited. He was able to recall them at those times, but it is not the same elsewhere. So whenever the Khenpo would go to the sacred mountains in Tibet, we would always be prepared with a small recorder, as he might start singing songs from his memory at any moment, and we would record and transcribe them into text. But when he went to the United States or Singapore, I went with him to many countries across the world that are quite more advanced, but during those times, he didn't feel anything special. When he recalled those scenes, at that moment, he was about 60 years old at the time, and when he remembered those special moments, he cried like a child. He could recall Guru Padmasambhava, and sometimes he remembered his past lives. When a senior cried like that, we even didn't know what to do. Sometimes it was awkward because we couldn't remember anything. We didn't know why the Khenpo was crying like that. When we was in Nepalese cave of Guru Padmasambhava, he took out a Terma hidden treasure of a Vajrakila ritual object. After obtaining it, many great Indian masters, including the 14th Dalai Lama, as well as eminent Indian masters at the time, all invited him to bestow this Dharma teaching. Actually, he had many other great merits, but I won't go into them for now. Let me tell you a bit more about Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok. 20 years ago, when I went to a sacred mountain with him, that was in Tibet, there was a brief scene, about a minute, not even 2 minutes long. Please take a look at Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok. 20 years ago, when I was relatively young, at that time, it just so happened to be exactly in October, back in 1997. Now, it's December in 2017. This is Khenpo at Jizu Mountain in Han Chinese regions. This is me from 20 years ago. His Holiness taught in Tibetan. I was translating into Chinese for those people. I speak Tibetan, but I am mainly responsible for teaching the Han Chinese students. That is, I focus on this area. Here is a young Tulku In Tibet, there is a concept called reincarnation. Now, this young Toku has already grown up. He's taller than me now. As you might expect, the quality of the footage back then wasn't very good. This is the young Toku. This is something I really want to talk about with you all, every one of us present here, within the cycle of reincarnation. Throughout the continuous flow and unbroken thread of lives, all sentient beings have experienced countless past lives. Just like what was mentioned earlier about Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok, who is a master with a high level of realization and able to recall his previous lives. Nowadays, even many ordinary people, including some scientists, can also remember their past lives. This year, we have organized a large-scale World Youth Buddhist Symposium in Thailand. A scientist who has made significant contributions at Google. His groundbreaking research work is related to AlphaGo in the field of artificial intelligence. He recalled things from his past lives. I won't mention his name because I haven't gotten his permission and didn't have a chance to ask him. But in fact, he is able to remember many of his previous lives as human being S throughout his existence, including he became a minister at a certain place and the relationship with someone. He remembered many of his past lives. One very interesting thing is that he could not only recall being human, but also he had once been an animal, a wild creature, a leader among wolves. He was one of the main leaders in the wolf because he can still remember it so far. The direction of the wind at the time, lingering scent carried by the wind, and even the entire process of leading and organizing the wolf pack. He said that when he was the leader of the wolf pack, because of his own arrogance, and he simply wasn't careful, so in the end he made a wrong decision. As a result, many wolves in that pack died. So now when it came to becoming a person, he was unwilling to take on a leadership role. Being a leader means dangerous. As if you make the wrong decision, it can negatively impact many in the group. And indeed, that's how he approaches his work in this lifetime. Actually, when it comes to recalling past lives, for many individuals, I think it really doesn't matter about where a person is from, as everyone has this kind of continuity of life. It's just that according to what is said in our religion, there is an obstacle when entering the womb, and the obstacle interferes with your memory. That's why most people can't remember. But there are a few people with special circumstances can still recall something. For many unspecified reasons, in some places, many people can remember. There is a Dong ethnic group in China, and most people in the village are able to remember. There was a child who had a distinctive seal stamped on his ear in his previous life, and in his succeeding life, the exact mark appeared on his body as well. This was what recorded over 1,000 years ago in Buddhism. There is a record in the commentary on the Treatise of the 400 Stanzas. Chandrakirti's commentary on the Katushataka. I heard that you have also studied Madhyamaka. That's great. Madhyamaka explains cause and condition. How does the commentary explain it? For example, if there is a pigeon on top of a thatched hut and there is yogurt underneath, the pigeon's footprints, even though the thatched roof is in between, through a certain dependent arising, the footprints, which are clearly visible, can still be left behind on the yogurt. In the same way, certain causes and conditions from the previous life's body can gradually radiate into this present life, affecting the experiences. That's why, for example, a cleft lip in a previous life can leave a scar in this life. The body was already abandoned, so it seems impossible. But there are causes and conditions that seem to leave traces even in the next life. This is a very mysterious and undoubtedly unusual matter indeed. You may not fully believe it, but this explanation does exist. That's why there are many mysterious phenomena science cannot explain, which keep on appearing across the world. With respect to modern research on the continuation of life, especially recently, there is a Dr. Stevenson at the University of Virginia spending whole life to research on this topic. As a result, he found and documented more than 2,000 individual cases reported from all over the world. He wrote 2 books on the cases collected. As a continuation and ongoing progress of his research, there is a man named Dr. Tucker who has been studying on this as well. This kind of research is very interesting. Dr. Tucker has also written a book, and that book contains a lot of important, valuable research. Perhaps for each of us, everyone, life is both very unfamiliar and very familiar. It is, in fact, absolutely very necessary to explore it. For example, the Buddhist Academy where I am currently staying should be considered as one of the largest, most prestigious, and most prominent Buddhist academies in the world today. The people here, basically, most of them believe in the existence of karma and its effects, and they also believe in the existence of past and future lives. This academy was founded by Khenpo Jigme Phuntsok. Although he has passed away, his Buddhist academy should still be considered one of the largest in the world today. We can also take a look at the present situation of his Buddhist academy. I am still currently studying there right now. Larung Valley is a place where I became a monk. I became a monk there in 1985. I have been there for over 30 years. Now I'm still living there. This is winter. Little houses. Everyone lives in their own little house. This is in a mountain valley. This is our truly iconic building. This is during spring. All these red ones, each is a small house. Now there are over 10,000 small houses. My little house is also among them. But it's tiny 20 square meters. I stayed in that 20 square meter house for 30 years. This is the place where our local people circumambulate. Finally, I have a few hopes. The first is, I believe, in my opinion, that religious faith and academic wisdom need to reach a consensus in order to emphasize their shared values, as these two fields are different, and on this occasion we should hold the principle, refraining from all evil, performing every good. We should strive to practice virtuous deeds as much as possible and eliminate all harmful and non-peaceful actions. This should be the standard for all of us. Secondly, whether we are inventing or researching anything, we must have a kind heart and motivation. With a heart of kindness and compassion, the results of what we do will also be very beautiful. Thank you so much.